I'm pleased to have as my guest Robert Esmie, a two-time world champion relay sprinter and a 1996 Olympic gold medalist. He was the leadoff runner in the men's 4x100 relay. He's also a motivational speaker who's known as a speed doctor. He teaches speed to help athletes reach their fitness goals. He's here today to talk about a speed training clinic called Air Blastoff, which is an initiative to help athletes reach their potential and go beyond their limitations. He's also a member of Canada's Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. And you know, I have to tell you, when I was watching the US channel, and it was the men's Olympic final, 100-meter final, and before the gun went off, the camera zoomed in on your head, it was you, and the words were written, blast off. Now, I looked and I watched and I thought, oh my goodness, I think you're going to win gold.
Yes, you got to be bold.
But I mean, what possessed you to have blast off?
Well, the Olympics usually have about 5 stories. At the time, it was Michael Johnson, double-double. Carlos getting his 9th gold medal, the 100 meters, usually one of them. Rosie Perec on the 2x400 from France, and then nobody broke the 5th story, which is supposed to be about the relay and stuff. So I said, you know what, I'm going to make the 5th story about Robert and doing something and making an impact in the Olympics. So when I designed the whole relay blast off in the air, it was to calm my teammates down, make it fun. I saw it more business-like, and I wanted to see more playground-like, fun, different energy system, and just go out like back in the school days. We're not tired, we're playing tags, and that's the kind of energy I wanted to bring to the team. So when I also created that, is to get some good exposure. And when I heard the whole crowd, when the camera zoomed in and the red relay blast off, it was 60,000 people, was like hooked on phonics and in harmony. I was like, yes, now we just need to go out and win it to become Mr. Blastoff.
That's exciting, because there was complete silence when that was the word blast off. But now you are the founder of Air Blastoff. How did that come about? Well,
after leaving the Olympics, I wanted to take it to another level. How can I take Blastoff, start to finish, that's what Blastoff was supposed to be about, to the next level? And it has to be like a last breath of fresh air. It's the last air, it's got to be urgent. And when I look at air, we need air to live. We need, most sports, great memories in sports happen, the ball going through the air. He's diving on the ice, in the air with the puck, throw it in the net, hitting a golf ball. It has to do with some kind of air and the urgency of it to be able to gain success. So now we've created Air Blastoff. Most sports happen in the air. Sprinting, 70% of your speed is in the air. Runners, 60% of your speed is in the air. To be effective, to be that good and break some records.
Yeah, so Air Blastoff is, you teach people how to be the best they can be, like speed, right? And so it's for, I mean, you teach teams, hockey players, to runners, but take us through, how does, I mean, are the programs custom made?
Yes, so Air Blastoff now becomes a resource to parents, students, athletes, and schools and clubs. So I look at the person as the athlete. They come to me and says, I need to be able to achieve these things. So we go in and we sit down and we plan out the end goal of what that goal is and how long do I have to attain that vision within that time. Then we start going backwards and plan from week 1, week 2, week 3, and said, okay, we're going to implement speed maybe twice a week. I want you to do some conditioning here. And if they play multiple sport, what days do you have football or soccer? Or what days you don't? This is what I'm going to do on these days, your nutritional piece, your recovery piece, your psychology piece, which is very important that we address that throughout the year. And for me, when I get them from day 1, I want to strengthen all the tendons and the tissues and lay that good foundation base work first. Because my philosophy, if your tendons are weak, you get more injuries. So I try to strengthen those early to make sure those tendons are strong enough to be like an elastic band. With that in place, you create less injuries and less impact on your body because your tissues and tendons behaving like a lever system and a tensor cord, like a rubber band type of atmosphere. So we try to make sure we minimize injuries as much as possible by going to that direction first, lay the foundation.
Right, and foundation's important. You also, I mean, do you video
Yes, we do video gait analysis with the athletes. I give constantly feedback. Majority of the time, I always want the athletes to be in a group setting first before they do any one-on-ones with me, because what they can get out of group session, and I can get them in shape extremely quick, right? And the group is so competitive. As I said, we have from ballerina to hockey players to soccer players to football players to track and field players. So a variety of different athletes with different abilities that are pushing each other, right? And just to be able to complete some of the workout. Even when in a group session, I'm always have my hands on to make sure safety is the #1 concern. They let me know when they get to practice if they didn't sleep properly, if they had an argument, if they didn't get to eat properly or drink properly. I modify that training ASAP on that day, because I do not like to see injuries on my clock. We have physios, massage, chiros come into practice and work with these athletes at the same time, like a pit Formula One crew. So all the time, I'm always thinking of injury-less, healthy and safety, and make sure these athletes successful by the end date that they
It's a team that's involved. And
absolutely.
Tell us about the white coat.
The white coat, my mother...
Speed doctor coat. Didn't your mom want you to be...
Yes, I signed my first contract ever with my mother. She wanted me to become a doctor, and I don't like blood, and I don't like needles. So I said, allow me to do track, and I will get a scholarship and go to medical school, or to become a doctor one day. And that's why I learned my first contract, to be able to maintain certain grade levels. So when that is accomplished, we had #1 offers from so many universities across the United States, being ranked one of the #1 juniors at the time in the world. So offers came in. But at that time, I decided to go pro. All my sponsors, I make sure in my agreement they pay for my education, right? If I didn't want to go to the States. One of the philosophy is you don't have to be going all over the place. Dreams can happen in your own backyard. You can have own local heroes in your backyard like I did, right? So at the end of the day, with the sponsorship around me, I had a 6-figure to do what I please and travel the world and still get the competitiveness. So when that was done, I got my doctor coat, take pictures every day, send it to her, and says, I am a speed doctor. So she wins, I win. But not only that, I do a lot of conferences and seminars with actually a whole bunch of doctors. Even in my work, when I'm not working with Air Blast Off, but I work with a lot of doctors. So in that moment, the honorarium said, Robert, you're a speed doctor. So that way we have the same language as doctors. So they deal with the theory, I deal with the practical portion. And a lot of the patients that I started out with came from doctors to rehab marathoners, distance, and that's how I got into the sports of what I do now.
That's great. And if people want to join Air Blast Off, where can they go?
Right now they can email me at robertesmie@gmail.com, or send me a quick text and I'll give them some information. The website's under construction to revamp it based on the new look and stuff that we have coming up for spring. So right now just send me an email or text me in the meantime.
And it's for everyone, right?
For everyone. Right now, we'll be putting together an adult-type boot camp in the spring, twice a week for $600. They'll have a nutritionist on board, and it's for the adults. So most of the time, right now, the concept is while the kids are training with me, I have other experts around to train the adults at the same time, so the whole family can get involved, get healthy, and go home and have a nice meal and enjoy each other's being active and being out there.
I want to thank you very much for coming on the show, and I'd like you to come back.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. The book is coming out, the DVD, Teach Me to Run. Like, run with it.
Okay. We'll be right back after this break.